Chapter 6. Beauties Go to Heroes. After quietly lying on the ground for over an hour, Xianxia stood up, for he had just used up all his strength. An hour before, Xianxia felt it was like a dream. He really could not believe this was true. Quietly, he punched himself and felt the pain. In the end, what history does this black book have? He muttered to himself in helplessness. Waiting until his heart stopped beating, he suddenly found himself somewhat different from before. He couldn't eat 3 fulfilling meals daily and would suffer beatings every 5 days. Thus, his body bones were weak, but now he clearly perceived that his bones were full of vitality. A surge of energy, filled with warmth, slowly circulated inside and outside his body. The bones burst out a crystal-clear sound, making it seem like a melody being played. And he who was hurt today couldn't feel the pain. Aware of this, Xianxia quickly rolled up his sleeves and opened his clothes. Looking closely, he found his body no longer had bruises or injuries. They had all disappeared. Even those old wounds were healed, feeling as unblemished as a newborn baby. Rubbing the places that previously held wounds, dead skin fell. This revealed the new tender skin underneath like a baby's, but far healthier. I cry. He swallowed down a cold lump, thinking that golden skeleton in his body had such a strong recovery ability. Then feeling his own strength and found that he was still at the tempered body 3rd stage with no change. This discovery made him a little disappointed. Rivers and illusions, with secrets known only to insiders. This type of story Xianxia heard much during his childhood. He knew many men were eligible to jump past the Dragon Gate, becoming powerful and famous. But after all, it's just a story. How many people can be happy and gain such luck and results? Those senior experts with greater strength, the more I could not bear to lower themselves with earth and buried. Always finding an inheritor before death. I want to jump off a cliff, drill a cave, and encounter events. Such unlikely things will happen. But the current problem had happened to him. That black must have a great background, and that old golden skeleton must be extraordinary. This can be said of his good fortune. It could also be seen as fate. The 4 sentences on the Black Book's first page. Proud golden body rules the fence. Indomitable spirit will it descend. If he didn't pick up the Black Book, but another picked it up, they would treat it as garbage. Unable to prise open like might. Tai. Precisely because he picked it up and used it as a pillow for a year, it felt his body's unyielding and brutal nature unlocking the secret Black Book today. In other words, this is his first encounter, but it's the first achievement he obtained through his own hands. That Black Book. Thinking this book was his pillow for over a year. He wasn't anxious to find out what it was, nor how he found it. Between being anxious and somewhat weakened in body, the Black Book abruptly appeared in front of Xianxia. It snapped shut, falling to the ground. He was stunned. Picking up the book, he furrowed his eyebrows while thinking hard. Struck by an idea, a move from his hands, the book disappeared, and a further action made it appear again. This scene was like a magic trick. One could see that Xianxia's face was very solemn because he genuinely felt that the Black Book could escape into his body with a single thought. This Black Book, possibly, be made from a soul stone. After saying it, he nearly gave himself a fright. A soul stone! This was considered a legendary gem. Only when hundreds of millions of ghosts gather in the abyss, and with the help of vast amounts of human vitality, will it start to form. Rumor has it that this is how it was formed. Inside the black stone, with the misery of 100 million lives, the living cannot enter, and green grass can't think to grow. Those words were exaggerated. But how many lives must be taken for a soul stone about the size of an apple to form? The formation of this mythical rock was callous and bloody. Every life near it during its creation will be dead within milliseconds. Also, the formation time is unimaginable. It could be up to a millennium or even 10 millenniums. This soul stone can be considered a supreme treasure. That is because it has a unique ability which can be melded with one's body and open up a dimension. This space is quite flexible. Storing things will be no hassle. Even though Xianxia is only a trial disciple, a humble position, his experiences were not lacking. Not to mention, the legendary Soulstone story has been around for many years. Anyone would know the story. He didn't think about this when he had just obtained this black book. Thinking about how the books went into his body, he thought about how the golden skeleton came out from the book. How could he not recognize the book's material? He immediately started sweating. Soulstones were the things of legends, long extinct in the world. He didn't think he would be able to encounter one, let alone such a large one. The legends only talked about an apple-sized soulstones, for it was only found that large. Even at that size, it was priceless. But the only one in front of him was somehow made into a black book that was this big. Its value was immeasurable. If this news spread, even if it's the entire Han dynasty, not to mention a mere martial school, they would probably be crushed overnight to obtain it. Xianxia couldn't help but feel his hands heat up. This heart had not forgotten the terror, but luckily it could be taken into his body. Otherwise, he would be in great danger. His body hiding this treasure, he swiftly escaped back into his hut. He dared not to be careless while his heart beat madly. He was becoming more and more excited whilst also becoming more and more uneasy. His strength was too low, so how could he guard this treasure? Even though the black book could be taken into his body, eliminating chances of being discovered, this didn't lessen the worry in his heart. Only practice, only the strong will be able to protect what is theirs. Xianxia's eyes gradually calmed down after thinking about what happened 3 years ago. All on his, without any support, he came to this school. What is not for practice and strength? Even though he obtained this book, he took it into his hands. On the first page was the proud golden body. Even though he didn't know what use it had, it couldn't be useless. This book also had so many pages. It couldn't only possess this one golden body,